Det uppstod ett ljudproblem under Frukostklubben. Det var 2 artiklar jag läste upp som inte kom med och jag hann inte avsluta en video om vad som händer i Mellanöstern. Så att det här som jag spelar in nu, det har jag då lagt in i efterhand. Tack Mikael som påpekade problemet för mig.
It feels like the entire region is on fire. And honestly, the scenes coming out of the Middle East right now are nothing short of catastrophic. Not just for the people on the ground, but for the egos of Washington and Tel Aviv. We are witnessing a historic, humiliating unraveling of the myth of American and Israeli military supremacy. Just days after Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu launched what they arrogantly called a decisive operation against Iran, the so-called Lion's Roar has come back to bite them hard. The reality check has arrived in the form of relentless Iranian barrages, and the score on the board is devastating for the aggressors.
Iranian state media reported that an American F-15 fighter jet crashed over the Kuwaiti airspace as the war between U.S., Israel, and Iran entered day 3.
Right, the latest lines that are coming through to us are of an F-15 combat jet, a U.S. combat jet, shot down.
U.S. warplane crashed in Kuwait. That's what the Iranian media is claiming.
We are getting reports that are straight out of a war college nightmare. American F-15 fighter jets, the pride of the USAF, have been shot down over Kuwait. I'm not talking about a training accident. These were combat kills. Iranian state media, including Press TV and IRNA, have released footage and images showing several American F-15 going down in flames over Kuwaiti territory, with reports even surfacing of the pilot being captured. This isn't just a loss of hardware. It's a psychological blow. The Pentagon has spent decades and trillions of dollars cultivating an image of invincibility. And in the span of 48 hours, Iran's air defense networks have exposed that as a complete fiction. While America was busy trying to assassinate leaders, Iran was busy dismantling the myth of the American war machine. We are also getting confirmation from sources on the ground that the skies over Iran have become a no-fly zone for the much-hyped Western drones. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has released statements via the SNN network confirming the destruction of at least 20 Israeli Hermes UAVs in the northwest, near Tabriz and Khorramabad, and to add insult to injury, they plucked an American MQ-9 Reaper out of the sky over Isfahan province. That's the same type of drone the U.S. brags about for persistent surveillance. Turns out, persistence doesn't help much when an Iranian missile turns you into scrap metal. Before we dive deeper into the specifics of how the axis of resistance is systematically dismantling the U.S. and Israeli forward positions across the Gulf, I need to ask you for a moment of your time. We are one of the few outlets left that refuses to parrot the Pentagon press releases or the talking points from occupied Jerusalem. We rely on you to keep this honest journalism alive. If you believe in telling the truth about who is really winning this conflict, hit that like button, share this video far and wide, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Your support is the only thing standing between us and the propaganda machine. Now, let's get into the meat of this. What we are seeing here is a textbook example of a defensive power using asymmetric capability and sheer strategic depth to bleed a supposed superpower dry. The Americans and Israelis thought they could pull off a repeat of their usual playground tactics, shock and awe, decapitation strikes, and then claiming victory. But Iran isn't Iraq, and it certainly isn't Gaza. The retaliation dubbed Operation True Promise 4 has been methodical and devastating. While the Western media is trying to focus on specific strikes inside Iran, they are completely glossing over the fact that Iran has opened a multi-front war that has set the entire Gulf on fire. Before I continue with more shocking details of the air war, watch how an honest American journalist humiliated an IPAC-funded lawmaker, Anna Paulina Luna.
Can you just tell me really quickly, where have they killed thousands of Americans in America?
I didn't say they killed thousands of Americans in America. I said that they have been responsible for thousands of Americans being killed. And I think that that's easily something that you can verify. I don't know, state-sponsored terrorism for starters. Why don't you, are you serious right now about that whole thing? I'm not going to list out exact specific locations. They've literally been responsible for sponsored terrorism.
Are you talking about the Iraq war where the U.S. invaded Iraq?
You can start out by the 3 that they just killed. Okay, the whole point of your network, if you want to actually talk about the facts here, I'm giving you the facts. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that's commonly accepted and known.
Congresswoman, you don't have a good understanding of the
facts. Well, I'm the one that's getting the briefings, not you. You're a pundit offering your opinion because you want clickbait, but aren't actually interested in the substance.
No, not at all.
We can talk about the fact that Obama sent millions upon millions of dollars to the Iranian regime, or do you not want to address that because it's not supported by your opinion and your network?
Luna wasn't expecting the news of 3 fighter jets downed, so let her know what's happening. Let's talk about the air power Iran has degraded. The F-15 Eagle, particularly the models in service over Kuwait, is a beast of an aircraft. It's designed for air superiority, with powerful radar and the ability to carry a massive payload. But here is the thing about the F-15 that the Pentagon hoped no one would notice. For all its thrust and speed, it relies heavily on electronic warfare suites and support that were completely neutralized. Iran didn't just get lucky with a manpad. The footage suggests the engagement involved a sophisticated, likely medium-range surface-to-air missile system that tracked the fighter despite its countermeasures. The F-15 has a top speed exceeding Mach 2.5 and can fly at the edge of space. But that doesn't matter when your tactics are predictable and your command and control is jammed. Iran essentially mocked the idea of American air superiority by forcing them to fly low and slow, or by catching them at the merge where their tech advantage is nullified. The fact that the wreckage ended up in Kuwait, a country housing massive U.S. bases, sends a signal to every other Gulf monarchy watching. The American umbrella is full of holes. And then there is the drone war. The MQ-9 Reaper is the poster child of American remote warfare. It carries Hellfire missiles, stays aloft for hours, and costs about $30 million apiece. Iran shot one down like it was a clay pigeon. The Reaper isn't designed to operate in a contested environment. It's a hunter of unarmed men in deserts, not a war machine against a peer-level air defense network. The Hermes drones from Israel are similarly overrated. They are slow, loud, and rely on predictable flight paths. By downing at least 10 of these UAVs, Iran has proven that the era of unopposed drone surveillance over their territory is over. The technical prowess here isn't in the missile alone. It's in the radar integration and the electronic warfare that painted these targets despite their stealth coatings. While Iran was cleaning the skies, they were simultaneously hammering the infrastructure that enables this aggression. We have an AFP correspondent confirming black smoke rising from the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait City. Let that sink in. The heart of American diplomatic power in the region was set ablaze. The embassy didn't even try to pretend everything was fine. They issued a security alert telling people, and I quote, "Do not come to the embassy because of the continuing threat of missile and UAV attacks." This is the United States of America telling its citizens to run and hide in Kuwait. This is the reality of Trump's foreign policy. But it doesn't stop there. Bahrain, which hosts the U.S. Fifth Fleet, the naval command center for the entire region, has been absolutely pounded. The Bahraini military admitted, in a rare moment of honesty, that they had to intercept 61 missiles and 34 drones, and even then, they admitted that shrapnel and strikes got through, killing at least one person at the Salman industrial city and hitting buildings near the naval base. Think about the operational calculus here. Iran is forcing the U.S. Navy to use its most expensive interceptors, SM-2s and SM-6s, which cost millions each, to shoot down drones that cost a few $1,000s. They are depleting the American magazine, one barrage at a time. Now let's cross over to occupied Palestine and the entity itself. The weakness of the Israeli air defense network is now an open secret, no matter how much they try to spin the Iron Dome or Arrow system narratives. We are seeing the limitations of the much-vaunted Israeli technology in real time. They've spent billions developing the Iron Beam laser system, touted as the game changer that would shoot down missiles with cheap laser beams. Even Israeli president is crying on live TV.
The missile totally annihilated the synagogue and entered into the shelter because it was a direct hit of a half-a-ton missile. Children were murdered here. 9 innocent souls were lost. All night, the teams of the mayor were gathering the remains and the pieces. We pray with the victims and we pray with their families, and we hope that they shall find comfort.
But here is the reality check that the propaganda machine doesn't want you to know. Iron Beam is a line-of-sight system that works best in clear weather against unguided rockets. It has a range of only a few kilometers and requires sustained contact with the target to burn through it. Against the salvos Iran is firing, specifically the thermobaric missiles hitting Haifa, the Iron Beam is useless. Thermobaric weapons create a massive blast wave and vacuum seal. They don't need to score a direct hit on a specific point to destroy a bunker. They destroy by concussive force. So even if the laser could theoretically zap one missile, it can't stop the overpressure from the ones that land nearby. The damage in Haifa is effective because Iran is targeting the infrastructure, not just the people. They are collapsing buildings and bunkers that the Israeli cabinet thought were safe. And speaking of the cabinet, the reports emerging from the underground command centers are horrific. While the mainstream media is running cover, searching the posts on X and the feeds from Iran International, we are getting whispers of a strike that actually targeted an emergency Israeli cabinet meeting. We are hearing that a hypersonic bunker buster, something the Iranians have been perfecting despite sanctions, managed to penetrate deep into a facility that was supposed to be impregnable. The casualty figures are being kept under a tight lid, but the silence from Tel Aviv is deafening. When Benjamin Netanyahu isn't on camera screaming about existential threats, you know something is wrong. He gambled everything on the idea that he could attack Iran and the Iranians would just take it. He never anticipated the dangers of turning the entire region into a blast furnace. He thought his intelligence was perfect, his air force was invincible, and his American backers would keep the skies clear. Now, the entire region is on fire, and he is sitting in a bunker, if he is still alive, watching his new Middle East go up in smoke. Let's not forget the Gulf states who hitched their wagon to the American star. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar are now reaping the whirlwind. They issued statements condemning Iran's aggression. But those statements ring hollow when Iranian missiles are bypassing their defenses and hitting oil infrastructure with surgical precision. The message from Tehran is clear. If you host American bases, if you allow your airspace to be used for refueling Israeli jets, your economic assets are on the table. The fact that Ali Larijani, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, has firmly and publicly rejected any negotiations with the U.S. while these strikes are ongoing tells you everything you need to know about the morale in Tehran versus Washington. They are not bending the knee. They are not asking for a ceasefire. They are dictating the tempo of the war. The international community is splitting apart. But frankly, the UN and the European hand-wringing doesn't matter on the battlefield. What matters is that the United States, under Trump, walked into a trap. They thought they were going to have a quick victory to boost election polls. Instead, they are facing a multi-day, multinational retaliation that has exposed the fragility of their entire Middle East posture. The U.S. Embassy is burning in Kuwait. The Fifth Fleet is hiding in Bahrain. And the Israeli cabinet is scrambling to find a safe place to meet. This is the reality check. This is what happens when you underestimate a nation with a strategic depth and a population that doesn't fear death. Trump wanted to project strength. Instead, he has presided over the most embarrassing 48 hours for the American military since the Desert One debacle. As we get more updates on the casualty figures from that bunker in Tel Aviv, and as more wreckage of American jets is paraded on state TV, one thing is becoming crystal clear. The equation in the Middle East has changed forever, and it did not change in favor of the United States. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.
Nu ska jag läsa det jag försökte då läsa upp under själva Frukostklubben, men som inte blev registrerat. För det första, fria tider. Trump öppnar för marktrupper i Iran. Donald Trump vill inte lova att USA avstår från marktrupper i Iran. Samtidigt meddelar han nu att kriget kan komma att pågå i månader. I en intervju med New York Post säger Donald Trump att han inte tänker ge samma löfte som tidigare presidenter om att undvika en markinsats. Jag darrar inte på manschetten när det gäller marktrupper. Som varje president säger, det kommer inte att bli några marktrupper. Det säger inte jag, säger Trump. Jag säger, behöver de förmodligen inte, eller om det skulle vara nödvändiga, fortsatte han. Kriget, officiellt kallat Operation Epic Fury, inleddes i lördags med flyganfall mot iranska mål. I en tidigare intervju uppskattade Trump att kriget kan pågå i omkring 4 veckor. Nu uppger han att det kan ta ännu längre tid. Presidenten insisterar samtidigt på att han gjorde det rätta och att opinionsmätningar inte avgör hans beslut. En Reuters Ipsos-mätning visar att endast 27% av amerikanerna stöder attackerna. 43% motsätter sig dem och 29% är osäkra. Jag tycker att opinionssiffrorna är mycket bra, men jag bryr mig inte om opinionssiffror. Jag måste göra det rätta. Det här borde ha gjorts för länge sedan, säger Trump till New York Post. Den amerikanska presidenten uppger sig ha en egen syn på siffrorna som avviker från vad siffrorna officiellt visar. Jag tror inte att opinionssiffrorna är låga, säger han. Jag tror att opinionssiffrorna förmodligen är bra. Ja, jag har en till sak att läsa och det är från Newsvoice. Trump lovade 2024 att inte kriga mot Iran. Nu ryter MAGA-anhängarna. Trump lovade 2024 att inte starta ett krig mot Iran. Han hade ambitioner att sätta USAs inre angelägenheter först och han ville få fredspriset. 2 år senare startar Trump krig mot Iran. Nu förlorar Trump inflytelserika Make America Great Again-anhängare. Trump under valkampanjen 2024. Jag kan säga er att ni inte kommer att få något krig med Iran med mig som president, sa Donald Trump under valkampanjen 2024. USA och Israel började för ett dygn sedan bomba Iran utan kongressens godkännande i den senaste angreppskampanjen kallad Operation Epic Fury. Trump uppmuntrade samtidigt det iranska folket att ta över er regering när attackerna är över. Er frihetsstund är nära. Rolling Stones Magazine skriver att den tidigare republikanska kongressledamoten Marjorie Taylor Greene, den konservativa journalisten Tucker Carlson, kommentatorn Alex Jones och influensen Andrew Tate, alla är rasande på Donald Trump över attackerna mot Iran. Tucker Carlson, som besökte Vita huset förra veckan, sa till Jonathan Karl på ABC News att beslutet att attackera Iran är helt motbjudande och ondskefullt enligt Rolling Stone. Marjorie Taylor Greene säger på X: Trump-administrationen frågade faktiskt i en opinionsundersökning hur många dödsoffer väljarna var villiga att acceptera i ett krig med Iran. Vad sägs om 0, era jävla sjuka lögnare? Vi röstade för America First och 0 krig. Det här är hjärtskärande och tragiskt. Och hur många fler oskyldiga kommer att dö? Vad händer med vår egen militär? Det här är inte vad vi trodde att MAGA skulle vara. Skäms. Och Green avgick från kongressen i januari och har sedan dess varit i konflikt med presidenten över hans utrikespolitik och bristande transparens i Epstein-ärendet. Den republikanska representanten Thomas Massie skriver på X: "Jag är emot detta krig. Detta är inte Amerika först. Konstitutionen kräver en omröstning och er representant måste officiellt ta ställning för eller emot detta krig." Och den republikanska senatorn Rand Paul skrev på sociala medier: "Konstitutionen gav kongressen befogenheten att förklara eller inleda krig av en anledning, för att göra krig mindre troligt. Som med alla krig är min första och renaste instinkt att önska amerikanska soldaters säkerhet och framgång i sitt uppdrag. Men min ämbetsed är till konstitutionen. Så efter noggrant övervägande måste jag motsätta mig ännu ett presidentkrig." Och Alex Jones skrev på X: "Det är mycket troligt att Iran kommer att aktivera sovande terroristceller i USA under de kommande dagarna och veckorna. Trumps enorma satsning påskyndar världens utveckling mot ett kärnvapenkrig." Och Andrew Tate: "Varför skulle ett krig med Iran gynna någon i USA överhuvudtaget?" Och till slut Matt Walsh från The Daily Wire: "Det är oroande att de argument vi hör för detta krig i Iran, inklusive från Trump själv, verkar kretsa främst kring att ge det iranska folket frihet. Som amerikaner är iraniernas frihet inte vårt ansvar. Om ett enda amerikanskt liv går förlorat i tjänst för det målet kommer det att vara en parodi." Ja, det var väl allt vad jag hade läsa, men jag tänkte avsluta med lite musik. Och det var någonting som jag spelade upp för ett par dagar sedan. Och den heter Pesticides and Pedophiles, alltså pesticider och pedofiler. Ha en bra fortsättning på dagen.
Well, my friends gather round, Orange Man is crashing out, tariffs are not working now, tax me harder, daddy, rumors of war, lies and more lies, but it's time for pesticides and pedophiles, pesticides and pedophiles. It's a train wreck at the Stars and Stripes. Tel Aviv is getting restless. Must buy TikTok to set you straight. Courts intervene. Millions of pages out, but it's pesticides and pedophiles. He doesn't think he will make it to heaven. Nothing left to lose. Watch him crash out. Another 15% tariff for all. Have some Monsanto in your food too. Pesticides and pedophiles, pesticides and